Class might be out of session on the north side. Let's talk about Kyle Hendricks.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by our great partners at FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. If Kyle Hendricks pitched his last game in a Cubs uniform on Saturday, then he went out on a high note. Hendricks turned in 7 1/3 shutout innings before walking off the Wrigley Field mound to a standing ovation. And Sam, I want to make sure we get into what made the professor so good over the years, just how he pitched, really. But the last man standing from the 2016 World Series team, it sounds like he held his last class on the north side.
There'll be a lot of speculation, what they're going to do. And, it sure felt like it. I mean, the Cubs, feels like the Cubs were making it that clear more than him. He kind of kept saying, hey, door's not closed. But the Cubs, by doing that, we're kind of tipping their hand a little bit, which is fine. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it would be as emotional or as I don't know what the word is, symbolic as it was, because it did kind of feel like, to me, I don't know, maybe I'm over analyzing it, but it felt like you said, the last guy from the World Series team. It really did feel like the end of an era. And as far as like people to be there for that, Kyle Hendricks, outside of Anthony Rizzo, is as good of a candidate as anybody, And
yeah, totally.
I was glad that he was there. I was glad that he put on a classic Kyle Hendricks performance, pitched to the conditions. Me, I was a little bit wanting to see him, why not see if he could just go all the way? Why not?
I'm not sure.
Just like, hey, because I think their explanation was, hey, we wanted to make sure we picked the perfect time for him to get a standing O, which is fine. But like, I don't really think that many people cared about the game. So like, if he ended up giving a solo homer, he still, I think, would have got the same ovation. But it went great. The Cubs got the W for him, not in the win total for his pitching, but, for the win, he was great. And I mean, I could go so many places with Kyle Hendricks and where to go. The first thing I think about, obviously, is the clutch pitching when it matters. I had a tweet after the game. I said, Kyle Hendricks is one of the greatest Cubs of all time. And, a lot of people, like that tweet. And a couple people said, well, not really. I mean, so-and-so. It goes, it's not about the numbers. I understand, yes, 97 and 81 with a 3.68. It's a very solid career. Is it all-time great? But you got to be there. It's not about what the numbers say. You got to be there for it. I was just listening to Kyle on the broadcast, actually, on Sunday afternoon. And he even shouted out a start, that people forget about. 2017, Game 1, shut out the Nationals in that series to win that. Game 6, Game 7, Dodgers, Cleveland. All those things. And the other thing that always stuck out to me about Kyle Hendricks, Matt, and I'll toss it back to you. Mm-hmm. I was looking at his splits before the show, prepping for this. His career ERA in March/April, so the beginning part of the season, his first career, is 5.65. After the first month of the year, he becomes not solid, but elite. From May, June, July, August, and then his career ERA September/October, a measly 3.01. Just shows how he progresses, gets better as the year goes on, pitches well when it matters. It takes him some time to figure it out. Just a guy that meant so much more than the numbers. My favorite Cub of the era.
Yeah, it would be rare for me to do this, but I would like to say that if anyone feels tempted out there to write something about his 2024 season, just save it. Just don't do it. I have no interest in reading it.
Yeah.
I hope a lot of other people don't. He is absolutely one of the top Cubs pitchers of all time.
Sure.
100%. Of course, you talk about NLCS in 2016, World Series 2016. How about this? When he went 48 starts between August of 15 and May of 17, Sam, in which he did not allow more than 4 earned runs in any outing. How about from 2014 through 2020, when only 6 pitchers, and their names are Kershaw, DeGrom, Scherzer, Kluber, Greinke, and Sale, posted a better ERA than him?
Yep.
We could go on and on from there. Shoot, his last 5 starts this year, you know what his ERA was?
2.89, was it?
Yes. And even since he returned to the rotation on June 19th, after the debacle to start the year,
he's better.
4.73, which that matches him as a 5th or 6th guy in the depth chart.
Yeah,
it does. And I get it. He didn't start the year well. Okay. He returned last spring following a really bad shoulder injury that I forgot. He didn't really even pitch in 2022.
Right.
He made about 9-10 starts. That was it. So even in recent memory, he did the unthinkable, really, and he made more with less throughout his whole career. He does hold the record for playoff starts with the Cubs with 11. He'll end his Cubs tenure if it really is ending, 7th in team history in strikeouts, 9th in games started, if you're into that sort of thing. I had to chuckle earlier today because he literally has 2 transactions on his baseball reference page. Drafted by the Rangers was the first one, and number 2, traded by the Rangers to the Cubs along with third base prospect at the time. Remember him? Do you remember his name?
Was it Mike Olt?
Christian Villanueva.
Oh, I remember him.
And that pair was traded for.
I always get that confused. Yeah, Garza or Dempster. It's Dempster, right?
Yeah, Ryan Dempster. Yeah.
Dempster, right?
I thought it was a very fitting ending. Even on Saturday, despite the cold conditions, I thought at times his changeup was nasty.
Yeah, looked good.
First pitch of the game, he's throwing less velo than most varsity 1s and 2s are throwing now at high school. I'm serious.
You know that.
Varsity 1s and 2s, especially in our area in Chicagoland, they throw upper 80s. Kyle Hendricks does not throw upper 80s, and he really hasn't. So it's just crazy what he did, with his repertoire and all that. And he will pitch next year. He brings value, first of all, with his mind. And second, to give some innings, and maybe he doesn't finish the whole 2025 season, but I think he could at least start with the team, and we'll see what happens this winter.
I don't see why a team couldn't just get creative, get him in a big ballpark, have him pitch once or twice through the order, and then just put kid gloves on him the third time through. A couple guys get on. I mean, he could be the type of guy. I mean, there's so many starters. Like Cleveland does not have a ton of good starters. The Dodgers do not have a ton of good starters this year. These are teams that are playing playoff baseball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can go in, eat some innings, 4 2/3, 1 or 2 earns, a good job from your 5th starter, move on. Then every now and then he'll have a bad one. Every now and then he'll have a good 7 innings. And I hope he gets a chance. I have so much respect for Kyle Hendricks. And as I said Thursday for Friday's show, it's always a dangerous game in this business, the podcasting, the media business, to try and guess the type of guy somebody is from how they are in sports, because you don't live with them, you don't actually know. But there's certain guys that you just don't have a doubt about. Like Ian, and the Cubs have a lot of them. They have a lot of really good guys. Ian Happ's one of them. Ian Happ bought the whole left field bleachers today a beer. Do you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, John Boy tweeted that out.
I'm trying to think. He might have done that last year too.
Yeah. Ian Happ's one of them, and Kyle Hendricks is at the top of the list. I mean, just a first-class guy. When things go well, it's everybody else. When things go bad, it's me. I got to be better. Always even-keeled. I mean, one of the reasons why, it's not like, when guys are great in the clutch, there's usually a reason why. Like, so many people in baseball that bothers me so much. They think everything's luck related and, it just happens, right? There's a reason. One of the reasons why Kyle Hendricks is so great, I always say this, in clutch moments, you have three types. You have the type of person that gets better, that they're better when the moment's bigger. You have the type of person that stays super even keel, and then you have the type of person that shrinks in the moment. And Kyle Hendricks is the best example, number two. He just, anytime in the clutch, he is the same guy no matter what. 3-2 count, bases loaded, called strike three. 3-2 count, bases loaded, grand slam. Same expression, same thing.
Right.
Just exact the same. And that approach worked for him, and turned into a fantastic Cubs career.
Yeah, a couple other notes. I forgot he finished third in Cy Young in 2016.
Who finished ahead of him? Was it? It was Lester for sure, and then was it DeGrom?
I think so.
Because
I thought he was fifth for some reason, but he was third.
Well, he led the league in ERA that year.
Yeah,
I know that at I believe it was 2.13. But it was Lester and somebody else that was ahead of him. I think Lester was second, Hendricks was third, and then this guy won it. And I'll just do us a solid and look it up, since this is supposed to be a professional show.
Then he also received votes down the ballot for his 12 starts in the 2020 shortened season.
He was brilliant.
And I remember his first start almost pitch for pitch that year.
Scherzer.
Okay, Scherzer, yeah.
One of those guys. Scherzer.
With the Nats, right?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, coming up next,
we are a beautiful game against the Marlins in that playoff game too, by the way. Just because the Cubs lost, don't forget that. He was terrific.
Yeah. He limited the damage. Cubs couldn't, get out
Score.
of bed and hit.
Yeah.
We're recording right now during the game on Sunday, but we're going to recap the rest of the series and just preview a little bit of the big picture of the 2024 final numbers next.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, it's Sunday afternoon right now. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Folks, I took that 2.5. I told you. Bear down, baby. Bear down. And Illinois also got way too many points. They covered as well. We're going into the bottom of the sixth right now at Wrigley. I need one more win to cover that 83.5.
Wow.
Which would be a nice, very small consolation in what otherwise has been
disappointing.
Another disappointment. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. It's America's #1 sports book.
All right. Well, no Sirius XM promo.
No Sirius XM. That's
last
so
Cubs
sad.
game on Sunday. So
that hit me hard.
Cut and paste that to the bottom of my doc, and we'll see. We have a partnership with them again come March, but I'm looking forward to the MLB playoffs. I find myself becoming more invested in baseball and less all the other sports.
That's great.
I want to support baseball as much as I can. So I hope we can get a good next month of 4 or 5 weeks of games. We are recording during Cubs Red Sunday. First two games were all Cubs. They won 1-0 Friday in a 1 hour, 48-minute game, and then 3-0 Saturday. We discussed Hendricks already. Jamison Tyone was solid Friday. Tyson Miller and Porter Hodge pitched both days and were solid both days. And really, for both teams, the pitching was good and the offense wasn't, as the wind also howled in all weekend. And for any type of season review, please remember the Cubs' struggles for the 61 games from late April to early July. They went 22-39 because even as the Cubs entered Sunday at 83-78, Sam, since July 4th, they were 44-30, and it mattered zero. 44-30 is a great record.
Yep.
Didn't matter.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. You could have one bad month in this sport. You can't have two. Okay?
Yep.
And that's what happened. So, they could be 45-30 to end the year, and it's not even going to matter.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add.
Okay.
I thought it was a very good summary of what's been going on at Wrigley this year. Just no scoring by both teams. It's crazy.
Yeah, quick games.
I mean, as we record this again, it's 0-0 still. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's already like the 7th, right?
Yeah. Agree with what you said. And, one thing that we'll wrestle with this offseason about this series is I believe you had 82, and then I believe you edited to 84 wins before the season.
I'll have to check, yeah.
And I had 87. And so, first of all, great job by both of us knocking it in with between 3-4 games. Secondly, I thought 87 would be good enough, but it wasn't.
No.
And so let's say they do finish with 84, which they may or may not, or 83. Doesn't really matter. 85, 86. It looks like 89 is going to be the cutoff, maybe even 90.
Right.
And so that's like what Craig says, right?
90.
You got to build a 90-win team. And if you're predicting anything less than that, then you're hoping. And it's not enough. But yeah, this weekend, Tyone finished out what was a really nice comeback season for him. Awesome for him. I think a lot of these guys have inflated stats. They posted a stat today on Marquee. The Cubs team ERA, I think, is the third best in history at Wrigley Field, 92-16. A lot of good pitching, also a lot of very favorable conditions. The same way we say that the hitters had some bad luck, the pitchers had some good luck. But I'll tell you, Porter Hodge nailed down 2 saves. That was really nice to see. Suzuki came back. I'm surprised that he played. He came back Saturday, had a couple hits, a couple walks. So yeah, it was just a kind of another weekend. It was a good weekend, I thought, for the Cubs overall with the Hendricks stuff and all that. But like you said, we've been kind of really, in a way, and you more so than me, and that's to your credit. These last 74 games, 44-30. We've both, but you more than me just knew, just kind of like, the bed was made. Bed was made in May. Bed was made in June, and that makes it very hard to cover a team. By the way,
yes.
Because you have to call what's in front of you. You can't sit here and nobody is a more glass half empty more than me. But I can't sit here and ignore when Hap goes on a tear or when Seiya goes on a tear. We have a job to do, and these guys are so do they, and they're competing. But in your head, you're just like, come on, guys, 2 months of this and all these blown saves. Why did it take us 3.5 months, as I talked about for Friday's show, to figure out our bullpen and things like that? So
it's way too long.
But good weekend overall for the Cubs. And I do have a little bit, and I'm just being honest because that's what you do on this program. I do have a little bit of solace, like a little bit of kind of relief that it wasn't 85, 86, 87 wins to get in, because I didn't think that this was a 90 win team. So, finishing, needing to win 90 games. You know what I'm trying to say? It's a lot less painful than last year. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and even their Pythag's 88, but again, that wouldn't have gotten them in.
No, and then when you hear all of them and some of the leaders on the club come out publicly and just acknowledge the major gap they feel like there is between them and Milwaukee, because that's really who you're chasing. I've said this many times. There really isn't a wild card to be chased if Atlanta's healthy and things like that.
True.
So Milwaukee's the real team, and they're going to win 93 baseball games, something like that, 94. So, work to be done.
And after scoring 819 runs in 2023, the Cubs.
Let me guess. 7. It's in the 7.
Yeah, the Cubs entered Sunday with
48.
36.
Not bad.
Going from 5.06 runs per game to 4.54.
Not bad.
All right, coming up next, we're going to preview not only the rest of the week, but just give some previews to really our offseason plans, which is a little bit emotional to say, but
it's weird.
There's a lot of different shows coming up. Stay tuned. Today's episode is presented by Game Time. Whether it's a Cubs game, a comedy show, or a concert, I love going to live events. And now Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. The experience of searching for and then buying tickets on Game Time is simple. Plus, Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it?
Game time.
All right, couple notes here, and then I want to go over a little bit of a list that we're starting already to accumulate here for the offseason. First of all, we're going to be 5 days a week still through the winter meetings. This is mostly 5 days a week through the winter meetings. Then we go down to 3 from the winter meetings to about March 1st. Some point this week, we're going to be really excited to recap Club 400's event Saturday night, Lake in the Hills out in the Northwest Burbs there.
A lot of stuff to talk about.
We met Sammy Sosa, took a photo with him, and we want to do that recap justice. We don't want to sneak it in. We don't want to squeeze it in. We don't want to rush through it. So at some point this week, we'll do that. And the reason why we have to be non-committal on that is because when is the Jed Hoyer press conference?
Right.
We're going to recap the season more in full, and that's just this week. Then beyond this week, we'll grade out all 9 starters. We'll grade out the rotation, the bullpen, look at the gap between the Cubs and the Brewers. How can they close the gap? Free agent and trade targets. We'll grade. I don't know if grade is the right word, but we'll review Craig Counsell's year. Do the Cubs make coaching changes this month? We'll see.
Yes.
Maybe some prospect reviews. We need to keep tabs on Moises Ballesteros in the Arizona Fall League, I do believe. And then I think just keeping a general eye on the postseason.
Yeah.
Like, what can we learn from the teams that are dueling it out there? So
did you know that?
Yeah, here we go.
Did you know that Shohei Ohtani came into today with real life for the Triple Crown, but he didn't get it?
Is that right? I thought I saw somewhere he had to go like
he needed like 2.
He had to go like 5 for 5 or something.
No, he needed like 2 or 3 hits, and then he needed a rise to just have a bad day.
Oh, I thought it was 5 hits.
No, I think he was down. He was down 4 points.
Yeah.
Now he's down more. It'll be a fun off season. We'll make you laugh for sure.
Right.
And we'll have some fun with it. I'll just say that it is an emotional response now that the season is officially over, because it really, when you do a show like this, when you're a fan, it goes by fast. When you're a fan and you do a show, it just skyrockets. Like, I could tell you exactly what I did the day of opening day. Like, it's that fresh in my head.
Totally.
It's that fresh in my head. And so us turning the page, it is weird, obviously bittersweet in the sense that the Cubs didn't get the job done. But, I think we learned a lot as podcasters. Our listeners are just, they're extraordinary. I don't think there's been a day since maybe May where I haven't got a DM on some platform. And 99% of them are just like, hey, thank you. Like, hey, if you ever want to talk Cubs, let me know. Hey, all those things. Even at the Club 400 event, people, it's not about us at all, but people come up, seek us out, are so nice to us. So we're so lucky to have this community, and we're going to be on the air at some point, and we're going to take you through a postseason. It didn't happen in 2024, but it's going to happen. I know it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope so, and we'll look forward to that day for sure. Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube. We're very close to 11,000 subs. Smash the like button for the algorithm and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcast. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.